So it's been a while since I've done a Monday makeup lesson, and I thought, seeing as we're starting back into it, let's start off with a beginner's talk through full face of makeup using only drugstore products. And let's get started with moisturizer. This is by Primark. They also have an oilier one, but I need the dry one because the oily one is super mattifying. They're only $2.50, which I think is a really great price. Hasn't broken me out, feels good on the skin. So I'm gonna be using this today. Now you can skip primer, but you can't skip moisturizer. Doesn't matter how oily your skin is, you have to apply moisturizer to give the makeup something to hold on to. Now I am going to apply a primer because I'm in my late 20s and I need a primer for my face. Not everybody needs a primer, but if you have very oily skin, very dry skin, very mature skin, you might want to try using a primer because it definitely helps your makeup last longer and go on better. So I'm going to be using this one, which I really like at the moment. It's the Gosh Primer Plus. The cool thing about it is it's actually yellow. You guys know how much I love anything with yellow because it takes the redness out of my skin. I'm just going to apply this. I like to glide primers on my skin so it kind of smooths out the skin. Speaking of corrector tones, which basically is what that is, Sleek has this new corrector palette out. If you guys don't know about which one is for which, definitely check out my book. I will link the link up here. I'm actually going to mix this one here with this one here, so the pink and the orange just underneath my eyes, and this will counteract discoloration under there. I have kind of bluey purples underneath my eyes and I just want to counteract it. And then I just take a clean finger and just pat over the top. The thing about correctors is you have to do a very thin layer. Don't apply it like you do your foundation or concealer. It's just a very thin layer. You can see how much more even my skin looks, even just with the prepping that we've done. And by putting in these little steps to start with, you won't have to top up your makeup as much later on. It's gonna last a lot longer for you as well. So a new foundation that I've been trying from the drugstore, the Liquid Coverage HD by Catrice. It's in this little glass container. It's got this dropper. It actually reminds me a lot of the Giorgio Armani foundation. It's quite mattifying though, so if you have dry skin, you might want to skip this. You need to shake it up first. And what you want to do is to stamp this into the foundation. You guys can see it's coating the tips here. And then you can start to press this over the skin and you will get a beautiful, even, full coverage, HD airbrush look. So I've said this a million times, but just to recap, if you want full coverage, you're going to do this stippling motion. This creates little kind of dots all over the skin, which creates a really airbrush look. If you want sheer coverage, you're going to do little swirling motions like this. And you want to go in the direction of the hair growth, just to make sure that we're not brushing those hairs up. That will just make them more obvious. So you want to brush it down, and you can also then brush it down your neck too. So don't apply foundation there unless you really need to. What you're better off doing is just using whatever's left over in the brush instead. It's pretty much giving me the coverage that I want, but underneath my eyes I want to brighten it, and I'm going to use this new one, Get Picture Ready Brightening Concealer. The applicator is quite stiff, to be honest. I'm just going through the center of my face with it. So I'm actually going to use an E26 to blend it instead because the applicator just does not blend. You don't have to go dramatically lighter with this. A little bit lighter is all you need to do. And because we already have that corrector tone underneath, our concealer doesn't have to do as much work, so we can use it for highlighting instead. Switching back to my foundation brush, I'm going to go around the edges so we don't have any harsh lines to where the highlighter is and then the foundation. So we finished applying our liquids. We're going to move on to setting everything in place. There's two ways you can set your makeup, with a powder or a setting spray. Setting spray is great for people who prefer using cream products or cream blushes, cream highlighters. You guys want to use this instead. If you apply powder and then apply your cream blush or highlighter over the top, it's not going to blend for you. Apply all of your liquids first and then apply your powder. This is the L'Oreal True Match Mineral Foundation. This will give you extra coverage. Alternatively, you can use a translucent powder or a setting powder. Now this comes with a brush, but I'm going to use my own brush. So I tap a little bit into the lid, give the brush a swirl, tap off the excess. If you just want to apply a very small amount of powder, use a bigger brush. This smaller brush will give you more of a concentrated finish. Make sure there's no creases before you apply powder, or you're just going to set the creases and they will not budge for you. Once my face makeup is done, then I move on to my eyebrow. So what I'm going to use today is a new palette. This is the Eye and Brow Contouring Palette by Catrice. It has 3 different shades and a highlighter. I'm also going to use a Rimmel pencil to define the shape just underneath here. And then I go in a couple of hairs and define the top as well. Once I've created the shape with the pencil going around the edges, I then take the E44, which is a flat brow brush, and the darkest shade from the palette, and I start on the arch and then work my way out. So I always like them to be a little bit darker than fading into a lighter shade. You can also then push up to get rid of the harsh line that we have here where we've applied the pencil, and it all blends really nicely together. We all have that good brow and bad brow. This is my good one. This is my bad one. This just doesn't work. And I'm also going to apply the highlighter from this palette on the tops of the cheekbones because it's so pretty. Now you can obviously use this palette on your eyes as well, but I want to show you guys this palette, which is new out at the moment as well. But first, I'm going to prime my eyelids with the Wet n Wild primer. So this primer is slightly tinted, but it does go clear once it dries in. So I'm actually going to follow the instructions on this palette. Base shade, crease, definer, and eyelid. Now it does have a brow bone color, which don't put it on your brow bone. It's like a rose gold. It's beautiful, but I think it would suit better on a lid instead, combining that with the other lid shade. I'm going to use an E42 and apply that base shade all over the lid, and then bring it up slightly underneath the brows. The crease shade next, we're going to go above the eyelid, starting on the outer corner and then sweeping over and back. You can bring this in closer to the nose to make your eyes closer together, or stop halfway to pull them apart. It's totally up to yourself. Now I'm holding the brush quite far down on the handle, and then I'm sweeping it over and back to get a very light finish. Then I'm going to go in with a definer on the tip of the brush, apply this just on the outer third of the eye, and I'm working it kind of into the crease as well. Your crease shade needs to go higher to kind of fade it out, so never bring your definer up too high. I'm going to take my E44 again, which I used on my brows, and apply the darker shade and the crease shade underneath my eyes. The trick with your eye makeup is to make sure you don't go past this line. So place your brush on the edge of your nose and the edge of your eye up towards your brow. You want to keep your eyeshadows in from this point. Don't blend it out too far. I'm going to switch to a flat brush. I've got the E24. I'm going to use the eyelid shade. Now you can use a blending brush to apply this, but it'll be very sheer. So you want to use a flat brush instead. So just press and glide over the lid. Oh, I was like, I can't see myself. Wrong one. Here we go. If you're worried about fallout, just take a little bit of sellotape. Use this to pick up your fallout. I'm going to curl my eyelashes next. I'm going to apply this new CoverGirl mascara, the Super Sizer. This is the one that April sent me. Thank you, April. So lots of mascara later. We're going to move on to applying some false eyelashes because I love false eyelashes and I use them all the time. These are actually the chocolate ones. So using black brown lashes is a great way to add a little bit of warmth to your eyes and bring out your eye color. I'm using clear eyelash glue instead of black this time because I don't have any black liner on my eyes. Hold them in the center of the lash band and then drop them onto your natural lashes. And then you want to push it to make sure it connects to your lash line. You want to make sure it's really coming in contact with your lash line. And then what I like to do is turn the tweezers over and just push downwards to make sure they're sitting nicely, like really close to your natural lashes. Contour, I'm going to use the NYX palette. It's not exactly new, I've had it for a while. And I like this brush because it's slightly tapered, so it's great for getting right underneath there. You want to use something with a little bit more of a gray undertone when you're working along here to mimic the same effect as a shadow does. If you use something that's too warm, it's just going to look really artificial. And to finish, I'm going to apply some blush. It's got this kind of iridescent glow to it. I love this shade. For the lips, I'm going to go for a nude, starting off with a nude lip liner. This is Nude Beige by NYX. If you don't line your lips, don't worry about it, but it does give you a sharper finish, so I would recommend trying it. New favorite lipstick. So this is number 4. Look how pale it is. And then I always blot my lips. I don't know about you guys. Now you can leave it like this, or you can apply a gloss. And I'm actually really into glosses again, but I only apply it in the middle. And there you go, that is the finished look. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys in a video on Wednesday, but don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. I've been talking about collaborating with April for ages. I adore her. She has like the kindest soul, and it really comes across in her videos.